Activate Weird Science Fair. Run experiment, gelatin magnifying glass.
Hey everybody, my name is Andrew and I'm one of the educators here at Clay Pit Pond State Park Preserve. In today's Weird Science Fair experiment, we are going to be making gelatin into a magnifying glass. So before we get started, let's go over the materials you're going to need. You're going to need some water according to your gelatin mix. A package of gelatin, preferably a light color like green or yellow. I'm using red and we'll see how it works. Some large round bottom spoons or some round bottom tablespoons. A tray with some paper towels on it. Something to scoop your gelatin with. Something to stir your gelatin with. A bowl to make it in. And finally, some piece of plastic, acrylic, or glass that you can use to put your lenses on later. This could be a glass dish or even a cup. I have a piece of acrylic here. Alright, once you get all your supplies, we're ready to get started. Now that we have all our supplies gathered, it's time to mix up our gelatin. You're going to need to do this according to the instructions on your package, but I'll tell you how I did mine. Mine requires 1 cup of hot water, which I've preheated right here. Next, you need to thoroughly mix in your gelatin powder. You need to mix it for about 1 to 2 minutes to make sure it's fully mixed together. Alright, mine's all mixed up. Next, mine requires me to add some cool water. Give that a little mix. Alright, now our gelatin's still a little bit too warm to put into our molds. So we're going to wait about 5 to 10 minutes till it cools down just a little bit more, and then we'll put it into our molds. I'll see you then. Alright, our gelatin has cooled down significantly now, and it's time to transfer it into our molds. A little tip before we get started: most tablespoons will not want to lay flat to put the gelatin mix in. So I'm using a roll of masking tape to help prop it up so they're evenly flat with our table. Alright, for these small ones, I'm just going to scoop the gelatin mix out like this, and then carefully lay them back down on our tray. It's alright if you spill a little bit, that's why we have the paper towels down and we're using a tray so we don't make a mess of our table. Same thing with this other one. Now, if you're trying to use a bigger one like I am, what I'm going to do is use my half-cup measuring cup here to help scoop it into these carefully. There we go. And now our spoon. Great. Now you might have a little Jello left over, and that can be a fun snack later. But I'm going to go and put these in the fridge for about 4 hours, and I'll see you then. Alright, and we're back. It's been a few hours, and our Jello is solidified, so I just took it out of the fridge, and we're going to try to get it out of the molds now. It's very important that we do not damage the Jello when we're trying to do this. But there's a few different methods you can try to use. You can try to use your fingers to help slide it out, or you can try to use a spoon. Either way, I would suggest getting your fingers or the spoon wet to help so the Jello doesn't stick to it. I'm going to try the spoon method first, and I'll let you know how it goes. So that went okay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and try out our Jello lens. Here I have a map of Clay Pit Pond State Park Preserve. So I'm going to put our Jello lens on the piece of acrylic over top of it. And as you can see, although my Jello lens didn't come out the greatest, you can definitely tell it's making the words larger, along with the symbols. They're hard to make out, but you can tell the principle is working. I hope you guys had a little bit better luck making your Jello lenses. Share your tricks of how you got them out of the molds with me. I would really appreciate it. Alright, let's talk about why this works. So, now that you were able to magnify things with our gelatin lens, let's talk about how it worked. We see things because light reflects off of them. So, Our gelatin lens uses this reflected light to help us see it better. When this reflected light hits the bottom of the gelatin lens, it's one flat surface. But as it travels through the gelatin lens, it gets spread out because our curved top surface is much bigger. This bends the light and refracts it. That's why we see it bigger when it's on the top. Did you know other things do this too? Water, for example, changes the direction of light too. If you're standing above the water and looking down in it, say looking at a fish, that fish isn't exactly where you see it, because when the light enters and exits the water, it bends just a little bit, changing where you see the fish compared to where it actually is in the water. That's why birds that hunt fish have to plan for this when they're swooping down to catch them, because their eyes aren't telling them the truth about where that fish technically is. I hope you enjoyed today's Weird Science Fair experiment. Hope to see you again. Bye!